So I'm just going to get right down into it right at the beginning of this video. This is Devin in the Lab, and he is a great shooter, and he's also a fantastic basketball trainer here on YouTube. I have been asked to do a breakdown of his basketball shooting form, so that is what we are going to do today. So this is from one of his training videos that was titled How to Get a Fast Pull-Up Jumper Shooting Drill with Devin Williams. Now, this is a great video, but let's break down his shooting form. So in this drill, what he's showing, he smashes the ball down onto the ground, and then you're going to go up for your shot. So first off, I just really want to break down his shooting form because that's what I have been asked to do, but make sure to go check out this video. So what does he do? His gather is going to be between his knees. In other videos, I have seen it between his hips as well. So in this area, depending on the drill that he does, that is his gather. From there, we want to look at the base, and we're going to go up until his release. Now, the first thing that I do notice is that his feet are pretty well squared towards the basket and pointed towards the basket as well. This is a great base for accuracy. Now, some players will have a tilted foot. That's totally fine. Every player shoots differently. You have to keep that in mind. Everything has to work in sync so that you can have a straight shot. Now, from there, we look at his knees, and his knees are also squared towards the basket, same as his hips and same as his shoulders, which means that both sides of his body are squared towards the basket at this point. When he rises up from his gather up to his set point, what do we notice? Well, first off, his shoulders are over his knees, over his toes, which is fantastic. This is perfectly balanced. He has a very good jump shot, in my opinion. From there, we also look at his head. His eyes should be looking at the rim. Now, where you want to aim for when you look at the rim, it's totally up to you. Everyone has a different aspect of what they want to aim for, but the one constant that you're going to find between different players and different trainers is that whenever they are going for the gather, they're going to be looking at the rim. They want to know where they're shooting. When he raises that ball up into his set point, one thing that I do notice is that he does not bend his elbow from the gather up to the set point. Why is this important? Well, the least amount of movement on your shot is going to allow you to get out of cold streaks faster, generally speaking. So if you ever have a time where you've missed 23s in a row, for example, and you've got a lot of movement on your shot, you have to try and figure out what is moving differently. Is it your elbow? Is it your wrist? Is it your hips? And then you have to try and correct that. But if you've got less movement, then what's going to happen is you're going to have the ability to basically correct your cold shooting. So that's why I always like to have a look at players' elbows. From there, when he brings the ball up to his set point seems to be above his forehead, above his right eye. Something else that I do notice is that his elbow is slightly flared out from the ball when being in line with the basket. It's just slightly flared out. It could be this angle, but I've also seen it on other clips as well. I also noticed that his shoulder is slightly out of line with the basket in this clip, but in most cases, the shoulder is in line with the elbow, which is in line with the basket, which is what's going to give you essentially your aim. The triangle of aim, I like to call it, is the ball, the elbow, and the shoulder. If the shoulder and elbow are in line with the basket, you're all set. If the ball is above the elbow, then you're all set as well, and it's going to give you a perfectly straight shot. However, if your elbow is slightly out from the ball, then what you're going to need to do when you've gone up into your shot is to dip the left shoulder back and left hip back, or one or the other, or both. And that is what we see here. When he goes up for a shot, he has his elbow flare out just slightly, but his left side dips back a little bit, which allows him to then line up that shoulder and elbow, and the fact that the ball is out of line with the elbow does not make all that much of a difference. We also do notice that there is a shadow on the ball. Now, when that happens, that means that he has space between the palm and the ball. That's going to allow him to control the ball, whether it goes left or right. That's going to allow him to grip the ball much tighter, a lot better, and it's going to be harder for players to knock his shot out when they foul him. Now, when he goes up further for his shot, what do we want to see? Well, the first thing that I do notice is he does not have a thumb flick. His palm does not go forward or point forward when he releases that ball. So, this tells me that he is not thumb flicking to get that ball up into his set point. We do have that elbow that is crossing or his arm crossing past his set point, but we do also notice that he is shooting what looks to be with his ring finger, middle finger, and pointer finger all at the same time. And I can tell that it's all at the same time because you can see that the middle finger is slightly bent, which means that he's releasing with all three fingers at once. Now, there's a few different ways that you can release the ball. You can release the ball with your pointer finger and middle finger. That's usually if your elbow's slightly in a little bit more. Sometimes when your elbow is flared, you'll have the ring finger and middle finger. And then other times, if your elbow is right underneath the ball, usually it's going to be your middle finger releasing. But how he is able to shoot is when his elbow is flared, and his elbow does flare when he shoots, he's shooting with all three fingers, which is going to be also a good release when your elbow is slightly flared. When he follows through, he tends to flick his wrist down, and then his hand tends to bounce back up. Now, there's a few different ways of releasing the ball. There's the hard release like a Michael Jordan where he flicks and holds the wrist down. Then there's the Curry release where it's a soft release. Now, when you've got the hard release like with Michael Jordan, what that's going to do is give you a lot of rotation on that ball. The soft release still gives you rotation, but it's going to give you more arc. This, in my opinion, would be a soft release because he flicks the ball, but then it goes straight and he releases fast. So what I would say is that would be more in line with a soft release, which is going to give him the arc needed. Now, higher arc is going to allow you to have that ball hit the rim much softer. And when the ball hits the rim softly, basically it allows that ball to bounce in much easier. I hope that this breakdown has helped you become a better shooter in basketball. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.